A very, very warm good evening. This is Arunfoot Chaudhary, and you are on my YouTube channel, arunfoot. It's Thursday, April the 17th, 2025. Another show to talk about Indian football, another Indian football discussion, and as always, we will talk and chat about Indian football. I'll try and answer all your questions or get some of the things that I can speak publicly about across to you guys. But first of all, if you like the content, if you are, want to come regularly back to the channel, like the content, share the content, and of course, subscribe to the content. Slowly, we're growing towards the 2,500 mark. So to all of you who have subscribed, thank you very much. Those of you who will subscribe also, thank you. And do watch the videos that I make on a regular basis on issues which are of general interest. Earlier today, I asked the question, why do ISL franchisees consider relocation or relocating? Very interesting point. So therefore, let's speak about it. Good evening also to you, Ishan. I am fine. Hope you're doing well. Good evening, Aditya. Tell about the ISL TV rights and when new deal gonna come. Aditya, I think there is no ISL TV deal to be discussed. Originally, the TV deal was with Star, yeah, and Star 2 years back considered of actually opting out, and that's when it looked like Reliance would take over the whole asset. It didn't happen at the time, but Sports 18 came forward. There was actually some bidding done into the market and saying, listen, we want to raise money off the television rights. Nobody took it. And then Sports 18 came forward, and because they were or are owned by Reliance and showed the ISL over the last 2 years. Now Sports 18 and Star have merged. So therefore, from a few weeks ago, Star Sports 3 has again started showing the ISL, but a new deal, I don't see any new deal at this moment in time. I see, and Star is of course a stakeholder, a 1/3 stakeholder in the property. So therefore, at the moment, I don't see any new deal as long as Star and Sony don't really have a bidding war or bidding fight on the television rights. There is no money coming in. And on the other side, I think we need to be thankful that they're showing the ISL. Look at the situation of the I-League, where the I-League clubs themselves are each spending 12 lakhs to put the league onto television, spending about 1.5 crores per se to do that, or nearly 2 crores, sorry, to do that. And those are the realities of television rights in India. Ashish Negi said RFDL and Reliance Youth Champs these days is contributing more than AIFF academies, and RFDL is the biggest gift of Brazilian football. Your opinion? Which AIFF academies? The AIFF academies have not been functional for a while, so that comparison doesn't work. Reliance Foundation Young Champs, to me, yes, has done something, but I would have thought that the coaches a little earlier were better. If you see some of the results that the junior batches are doing, so I think they are struggling a little bit. If you see that even Mumbai City with its system is actually a little better than them in a lot of competitions, and in the last few years, actually RFDL were sort of the gold standard in Indian football. And RFDL, it's a good competition per se, but I have too many of these ISL bench players playing in that league. So that's, sort of finished product who is actually not supposed to play in that league. So that would be my criticism of RFDL. On one side, it's good that these boys are getting game time, but on the other side, it's depriving younger boys the opportunity to play in that league. So therefore, how do we see it? That's always the difficulty. And therefore, I said that also in the last couple of days, that to me, I see the work that Classic Football Academy as a small academy is doing this is much better, much bigger worth to Indian football, hopefully long term, than the big ISL teams of using of using this as a platform to their players who are not getting regular game time in the ISL. How come Lions City Sailors went to AFC Champions League, not Championship, but they're Champions League 2 final or final now with less budget? Mohun Bagan. I think that's football. That's football. Even let's say Inter Milan has a much smaller budget than a Bayern Munich. So the budget is not the deciding factor. It doesn't mean that you will always, the team with the bigger budget will win, right? In courts, looks like AIFF is trying to put this point in the constitution. They want to control the complete top tier Indian league, and AIFF is still lawyers talking with the judge to not include anything. Aditya, it's not the AIFF. It's the government of India. I think that the government of India, indirectly via the sports code, wants to take control of the national sports federations. I think that's the whole issue in this whole constitutional crisis of the AIFF and of the IOA. That should be discussed, I think. The ownership of the ISL per se actually is with the AIFF. It is that the management and the execution is with Reliance, FSDL, right? And that is, I think, what the Reliance lawyer is trying to explain to them, because there are 2 or 3 misconceptions which are being fought in this whole sports code thing. The sports code things, to me, the first problem I see in the sports code is that it thinks that an athlete knows better how to run sports. And my learning over the last 25 years has always been either the right people with the passion and the understanding of sports are there, or professionals who've learned and studied sports and have a practical experience in sports. That is what is needed. And, it is something that needs to be looked at, and that's not happening. Hi, Kumar. We cannot allow AIFF to control ISL. Look how bad they are managing AIFF, not to mention Prabhu is asking for fresh elections. Proful Patel is asking for nothing, it's FIFA. So don't intermix. If a state association is asking for something, again, a lot of people are constructing a lot of things. Wasn't it a few weeks ago, the talk that Proful Patel is coming back? Never heard anything. So be careful. As I said, and I repeat this again and again and again, a lot of people say a lot of things, and this source has said this source said that. All of this is, be very, very careful. Most of the stuff people are putting out these days are not true. Sorry to say that. So what sports did you have in your school, college in Germany? I didn't have college. We had directly university, and university officially I didn't have any sports. It was up to me if I wanted to do sports or arts. And due to my studies, I used to play irregular football at the start, and towards the end I didn't do any sports. And in school, what did we do? We had all kinds of sports. Of course, we had athletics, we had football, we had basketball, handball, volleyball, badminton, and most probably I'm forgetting sports, even field hockey at some stage. So therefore we were multi-sports. Should we bring an age limit to RFDL, strict one? Aditya, there is an age limit. I think you need to bring in a limit of saying, if a player has had X number of matches in the ISL, that player should not be playing RFDL. I think that is more what I think is needed at this moment, because this is supposed to be a development league, and we've got too many players who are actually ISL irregulars, not regulars, irregulars, playing in RFDL. Which way do you see this case going? Ishan, with Indian courts, have given up. I've said this multiple times. I am not in a position to tell you or anybody where I see this case going, because I just don't know where the case could go, will go, how it will go, because it's gone XYZ way, and therefore, yeah. Also, as I said, Aditya, that is not the case. It is FIFA, which is run by the people in Bombay. Mr. Patel is to be the president, and they've asked for something. Kumar says, Ashish was saying that Nopang League is the project what should be replicated in every state and connected to bigger, better RFDL. Those Nopang League should be the way forward. With holistic development, ecosystem evaluation, with refinement of youth development, coach education, and coach drastic improvement in Indian coaches. Yeah. The thing is with the Nopang League is, I guess, is something which can work in Mizoram. And I've said this multiple times, I think you have to be practical what you can implement in other parts of India. A Nopang League cannot be copied in Kolkata. A Nopang League cannot be copied in Mumbai. It will not be copied in Goa and Kerala. You have to find local solutions to those cities, states, regions, right? The Nopang League, in a different way, most probably could be adopted in some other parts of the Northeast. So therefore, the thought process that Ashish has is right. But on the other side, it's also wrong, because you have to have solutions, which works wherever you are. So if AIFF or the government of India somewhat takes over the whole football and Reliance pulls out, so what will happen? Reliance says, Tata, and the system collapses. Aditya, just see some of the old, I'm sure you've seen my older art things, right? Where I asked the question, was this the old last ISL? Is the AIFF house in fire? All these videos, there are tons of videos. I'm the only one who's saying this for over a year, that this is a real danger. That's the danger. We've been talking about this so many times on this channel, where I say, it's clearly mentioned that the danger is very, very evident if someone understands that if Reliance pulls out, it's not just a 50 crore in cash that they're not putting in. They are putting in most probably around another 80 to 100 crores per year in regard to running, organizing ISL, RFDL, addition on top of that, Reliance Foundation, all of that. Are baby leagues being conducted, and have they ended as well? Ishant, they were renamed as, I think, Blue Cups leagues or something, or Blue Cup leagues, I don't know. But I haven't heard anything, because again, since 2022, a lot of so therefore I'm not sure. I know that some of the baby leagues which were started are still on in some parts of India, but I'm not sure if this, I think the AIFF had at some stage about 300 baby leagues across India which were running. Let's see. Ashish said AIFF, so that's why I said that. Also, not to mention all 6 I-League teams went to High Court to target Takashi. Again, Aditya, I understand. And you add, looks like the judges are understanding the whole case of the scenario now before the state and previous states. It looked like lawyers were dominating the case. I hope so. It looks like it. But the one point that the court needs to be told, right? With all due respect, do they understand that the law of sport stands above the law of land? That is my only question. Do you understand that? As the Supreme Court of India, as the High Court of Delhi, do you understand that the law of sports around the world stands above the law of the land? If you don't understand that and you say, no, it does not work in India, then India and its, the IOA and the National Sports Federations should formally exit international sporting competitions. Very simple. Either India complies with what is there around the world, or we say, thank you very much, Tata, bye-bye. And this is something which I go back to what was happening around this time 3 years ago, when the court-appointed administrators were there, that they did not understand that this is the crux of the matter. They did not understand, right? According to Google, ice hockey is also a popular sport in Germany. And I think Ladakh is the only place where there are ice hockey grounds. Yeah, ice hockey is popular, especially in Bavaria or in cities where you have ice hockey training facility, not grounds, not stadiums, but training facilities. For example, the Cologne Arena or Lanxess Arena, where we had the handball Final Four over the weekend. On Thursday, you had the DEL, the German League's semi-final. Kölner Haie, the team from Cologne played. And on a Monday, the ice was back and the Kölner Haie were playing there again. Also, FSDL brought the matter of relegation and promotion, and there were also other troubles of Mohun Sporting Club. Aditya, the point here is to me, relegation promotion needs to be done right. And I also think if we look back at the roadmap that was created, that certain factors which are now real, which were not factored in when the roadmap was put together, are a bit of a problem, of how promotion first and then relegation works. If I look at it, Punjab FC coming in was a success. Mohun coming in was a failure. We've grown our league to 13 teams, and I still stick to it, what I've been saying now for months. If you look at it, it hasn't worked, right? Because we have grown our base of clubs, but we have not grown the base of players, talent. And you see that in the ISL, you see it even more in the I-League, and even more you see it in I-League 2. We have removed foreigners from the system. And if we would take stock in the summer of 2025, taking away the foreigners, I think, has been a big failure. The quality is a huge issue. Yeah, and that's it. Why don't I hear players, coaches, ex-coaches talking about this possible ISL end? Because they don't want to believe it. Don't you realize that the easy money that all these people are earning is gone suddenly? I've had conversations with friends, even with people who work in the system. I've been telling that. And I remember people laughed at and again, it's a lot of times that when I tell people, I see these things coming, these as problems and all that stuff, because I try and think forward. I don't think in the moment, but to plan ahead strategically, what could, would, should, would be happening. And if you ask me, if I look at things at the moment, didn't I say in 2023 that the Asian Games, to play in the way we want to, is going to be a disaster? Happened, right? That in 2023, after the SAF championship triumph, that I'm worried that we have a lack of quality going in towards the Asian Cup. That the AIFF, I said last year, should be in talks now with Reliance about extending the contract or maybe finding an alternative. These people live in their dream world. If you ask players, there are players who want to go abroad. Right? But they think they can play in the Premier Divisions of leagues in Europe. What am I going to tell them? It makes no sense. It makes no sense to try and, I speak to friends who will understand this, and I've given up on a lot of people because in Indian football, a lot of people are very, very narrow-minded, are happy with what they have. And I'm fine with that on one side, but you have to think outside of the box. You have to look here and there to understand where we are, what we need to do, how do we grow the sport. And that, to me, I think, is the biggest challenge that we currently have in Indian football. Why is the government of India trying to sideline and move FSL instead of fixing AIFF? Come on, man, how bad are we going from this? Those will never show finger to BCCI for increasing prices. Aditya, it is not about the AIFF or it's about Reliance. It's about the whole sports ecosystem. And with the BCCI, they've already done it, right? Who controls BCCI? The government does. So that's the reality. And over there, I think big cities should be divided multiple zones for you to have grassroots leagues. Kumar, yes, but the question is, do you have grassroots leagues in cities? Most of the places don't have it. And if you look at the U13, U15, U17 leagues now, in a lot of places you have, for example, Bangalore and Chennai in the same room, or Kerala or Bangalore in the same zone, right? I mean, some of these things just don't make sense. Normally, I told the IFA, for example, you should have proper under 13, under 15, under 17 leagues with 8 or 10, let's say 10 teams. Let them have 18 matches. IFA won't do it. So the problem is always, it falls back on the AIFF. And this is something where I say, it's not always the AIFF's fault. It is also the fault of the state affairs, the clubs, and the academies, because it's worked for them. Ranjit Bajaj posted series of videos exposing AIFF. He started with the General Secretary, Anand Kumar Prabhakaran. Gaurav says, utter hopeless with it. What's your take on this? PC Game Attack, he should expose himself first of what he's done wrong over the last 15 years. Why expose other people? Don't make yourself holier than you are, right? You have enough dirt yourself, and not enough, things in your closet. Why point the finger at others? You are not helping Indian football. I don't buy it anymore. I've given up, guys. These kind of people, they just point fingers and us. Oh, this is that. No, you yourself. Look at yourself first. Can you look at these people? Actually, no, none of these people should be able to look in the mirror, right? But they do. Even Indian movies surrounding sports, they show that sport person are better and good management, politicians are bad. I'm not saying anyone good or bad, but I think we need to bring experience. Yeah, like you showed to Premier League, someone from FSL needs to show that to AIFF. FSL has already done it, right? By saying we will not give you money. That's what they've done. The government of India comes in the second part. It's a very, very complex scenario, guys, where there is no easy solution to the problem. Now, it would have been easy, so that's fine. Can you say some networking tips for those who are starting out, everyone and everywhere? Ishan, it depends on what you want to do. If you want to, there are nowadays these sports management networking events happening over the weekend. Akshata organized one in Delhi. Those kind of events are good. And if you want to go into coaching, meet up with people. That's all I can say. In my opinion, having a top 6 playoff race does more for increasing competition rather than relegation. It is ideal, but in the Indian scenario, this seems right. Ishan, a very, very good point. I totally agree with you on that point, because I have to also say that, and I've said this now multiple times over the last few weeks, that the ISL playoffs saw higher attendances at grounds physically, bigger interest on television, more interactions on social media. So therefore, that is it. And therefore, you're right. Because I will also tell you, in 2014, when they started, or in 2012, 2013, when the concept of the ISL was being worked on, and I did some work for Reliance, I said, I'm not a fan of playoffs. I'll be honest, I'm a purist on that. I say the league champions are the league champions. And certain people said at that time, listen, if you like it or not, in an Indian context, it makes complete sense to have playoffs. That is what gets people interested, right? So Yeah. So that's something very, very good point, Ishan, that you pointed out. That the ISL playoffs makes it interesting, because otherwise, if we didn't have ISL playoffs, depending on 1 or 2, 3 teams maybe fighting for the league title, that middle run would have nothing to play for. And we've had now seasons where more than half of the league was actually fighting to get into the top 6. How did you felt when Mumbai City FC approached you, like you found out they're a franchise instead of a club? Aditya, Mumbai City is a club for me. Was a club, is a club, will be a club. It's not a franchise in that way, right? And when they approached me, first of all, I felt honored that they thought that I could help them build the team. And then I got down to the work because we had nothing, right? So therefore, Mumbai City to me, and I can proudly say that because I'm one of the founding fathers of the entity, is more of a club than most clubs in India. If you look at what they have done over the last 11 years, I can proudly say that. And we put in certain things. It's not perfect. It's by far not perfect. Nothing is perfect in Indian football. But Mumbai City is, on a number of fronts, what I would have liked to have seen when we started 2014. Heard PV Vishnu to Mohun Super Giant. If this happens, then will he get any game time? Pranjal, let's wait and see where he goes. He's been linked to half of the league. Yeah, let's see. I wanted to ask about player from Central Coast Madness coming to the show. See, but listen, to all this, I don't want to even talk about transfer stock. Aditya, let's wait and see what happens. Again, at the moment, yeah, it is something. There are bigger problems than transfers at the moment. And to be honest, I actually am. I'll be very, very honest. Last summer, I was actually tracking everything that's happening to transfers. At the moment, I'm not bothered actually, because we have a fight for survival going on for Indian football. And I think most of the people don't realize that we are. I think 95% of Indian football doesn't understand that it's a fight for survival for Indian football, which is going on at the moment. And 99.9% cannot do anything about it. Your fondest Indian football viewing experience? Boy, Ishan, there are quite a few. The biggest one I would say is always India-Thailand 4-1 in Abu Dhabi in the 2019 AFC Asian Cup. The second biggest would be 2001, India beating United Arab Emirates 1-0 in Bangalore, 8th of April, a day that, I was there. I happened to be there. And the other one, even though we lost 4-0 to Australia, would be the 2011 AFC Asian Cup, the first time that I listened to the Indian anthem at a big tournament. So these would be sort of my personal top 3. What lessons, in your opinion, can AIFF learn from BCCI? How to commercialize the game. That's one thing. If you can learn that, Indian football is sorted. That's the only thing we're failing. If we can commercialize Indian football to even 5% of what BCCI has done with cricket over the last 20, 30 years, we're sorted. We will not be talking about any of these problems because there's enough money in the system that trickles down from the top to the bottom. We'd be sorted. I got cringed at Ranjit Bajaj when he couldn't find any fault at Inter Kashi, then brought a youth match of 7-0, saying that, oh, look how bad Inter Kashi are bad, brother. The whole club is only 2 years old. Yeah, Aditya. Let me not say too much about it. It is cringeworthy the way that certain people are fighting these things. It is I find it by now very, very embarrassing, to say the least, that what is happening at this moment. Right, nearly half an hour now on this Thursday evening live to discuss Indian football. I know it's not always the easiest to discuss it, but if you like the discussion, if you like the content, do leave a like behind. 7 likes so far. I hope we can do better. Share it with other people, and do subscribe to the channel as well. We are at 2,491, so 9 to go before we cross the 2,500 marks. Again, thank you very much, everybody. keep supporting arunfoot, and here, visit my other social medias, visit arunfoot.com as well. Thanks a lot for that, everyone. I'm a fan of playoffs, and I will disagree with you on this point. MLS playoffs excites people too. Let's not be purist here. It kept us alive at middle stages was exciting. Aditya, what did I say? I said I was a purist, and I thought it wasn't a good idea when we were discussing it and when it started. By now, I have to say yes. It is very, very important, right? And therefore, I know in India you don't do that. But if I was wrong, I say I was wrong, and I can change my opinion. Why can I not change my opinion? I think our audience is enamored by words like grand finale, semi-finals, knockouts, playoffs. I think most people don't realize what winning the Shield means. Check the audience, for instance. Yeah, 100%, Ishan. I think this is a weird one, right? That football fans who follow European football, for example, follow their clubs across the season, but when they switch to Indian football, they're not going to do it. Oh yeah, Odisha is a franchise. Mohun City is a club, whereas Odisha is a dinner increase. Mohun is one lost it. Aditya, you haven't understood what a franchise and what a club is, right? So let me not get into that discussion. Do you have a role to play in the City Football Group and Mumbai City FC deal as well? Ishan, indirectly, because in 2014 I actually went to City Football Group. At the time they were not interested. Later on they were, and later on they invested in Mumbai City. So maybe I give them the push in 2014 for them to later come in and invest. Chirag says Indonesia reached U17 World Cup just by playing quarterfinals. We could have done it too, as we also reached quarterfinal of Junior Asian Cup in the past. We lost to South Korea by just 1-0. Chirag, those were the days. 2018 and 2025 is not the same. So therefore, that comparison doesn't work. We were in the past. In the past, we were 1 point away from qualifying for the final round of the World Cup qualifiers. Nice. Does it help us today? No. What your successes of yesterday, we have to forget. The success of today is what counts and what is important, or our future successes. And therefore, going back and saying, oh, you know what, we did this, we did that. Yes, we did. But yeah. How are Indian clubs supposed to bring sponsors if ISL becomes so unstable? Like, how will they get confidence and put money when there's no guarantees of league half next year? Aditya, this has been a problem for years. So the sponsorship issue is not a problem for this summer. It's been there for years. And but Indian sponsors, looking at the next 12 months, why not? So therefore that shouldn't be, yeah. Hi, SCT, your opinion on firecracker incident at the Salt Lake Stadium. Unacceptable. I am not a fan, be it in India, be it anywhere else, in regard to firecrackers, or all these, other flares or whatever you can burn in a stadium. Because I look at it from an operational standpoint, I look at it from an organizational standpoint. This is dangerous to fans. So therefore, and it does, as I said, it doesn't matter if it's. I hate it in Germany, for example. We've had this discussion at FC Remscheid where people are fans are doing it, and the club always gets a fine. Not good. So there, but again, this is part and parcel of football fandom around the world. It's a problem, but these kind of things cannot be supported, and one can only hope that fans, realize it and behave differently in the future. Now that I want to ask a question: how to make clubs at least be in coma instead of dead? Some clubs can be alive in this football world. Kumar, the situation is difficult from a general league perspective. It has been difficult now for a while, I think, since COVID. But if one is honest, and the sponsorship money has dried up in India. It's not a football problem. It's a general sports problem outside of cricket, right? And if we take out, betting companies and their sponsorships, it would be even more bleak. IPL rights were sold for 48,390 crore for a 5-year period. Absolutely insane, isn't it? Yes, of course, Ishan. And the broadcaster is losing money. Don't think the broadcaster is making money, right? But they're willing to spend it. I think another 48,000 crore was spent on the BCCI rights. Yeah. No broadcast for ISL coming soon. Where does this come from, Arnav? No. There will be a broadcast. The advantages of the if let's say it differently. If Reliance stays, if a new deal is signed, then Star Sports will be showing the ISL. That I can guarantee. And yeah, if Reliance goes, I don't even see an ISL happening. That is, I think, the discussion we should be having. Hi, my divine zone. I'm from Assam and work in Meghalaya. I've seen many kids playing awesome football in Jaintia Hills of Meghalaya. I hope they get a chance in national team and make it to World Cup one day. I hope so as well. In the Khasi Hills, there's quite a bit of talent. Conrad Sangma is helping a lot with the investment into football at this moment in time. I hope it works. I hope it grows in Meghalaya, and more of these kids get a chance. I mean, I've seen talent like Rokas Lamare, Malanki Suting. They were part of the 2002 under 17 squad. And especially Rokas but even Malanki, both of them went on to play a long time in the system. So yeah, heard about I-League clubs. I think you want to mean approach High Court against them. Yeah, they've done that. Yeah. Vapas Aja Praful Patel says Aditya, it's not against them, but against Interkashi. No, they've not approached the High Court. I don't know who they've approached the High Court as well for what, I don't know. So now broadcasting is a problem. Not that I know of. Sounds like Simon come back, says Manok. Kumar says, I like this quote from the book from Swami Vivekananda. This especially applies to football and mainly even Indian football. The past action decides present action decides future. I mean, Kumar, Swami Vivekananda, a wise man, but yeah, isn't that in life? Because you're again, and also I add to that, if you want to be philosophical, as I like to say, what happened yesterday, is the past. What happens today is okay, but we have to think about the future. Your success of yesterday or your failures of yesterday, you can forget. You can work towards your success tomorrow, right? And that is what we're not doing, right? That is where we're losing out. That is where, if I look at Bibiano and his teams over since the Under-17 World Cup, Bibiano was coach of the Under-17s, except the last match. I've seen static decline, massive decline. 2018, it was just mentioned, we were in the quarterfinals. That's a reality. Sir, with all due respect, I disagree on the flares part. I have been actively protesting against Kalinga Stadium official promotion of flares. But again, you're a cut to the conservative. So I won't say anything. But Aditi, you just said something. Flares are dangerous, period. And from an organizational standpoint, as I said, it looks nice, yeah, but it still is dangerous. The smoke is not healthy. So therefore, flares is not something that I want to see in a stadium, anywhere in the world. Doesn't matter where it is. Be it here in Remscheid, be it at the Salt Lake Stadium. And again, we had a sports journalist union meeting last month with our local interior minister with us. And he said the biggest problem is are flares, right? So therefore, for me, if the authorities of the Kalinga are against it, it's their right, because they have to ensure security of everyone. If you or the fans, whoever like flares, like it or not, that is my job. If I am running a football club, if I am running a stadium, I have to ensure the security of every person at that ground, be it flares, be it firecrackers, be it general violence, be it also how my security staff behaves with fans, ensuring that, if there is potential fan trouble, to keep both the fan sets apart. All of these things are part and parcel of the operations team. So therefore, you saying you want flares in the stadium because it looks nice could be nice from a fan perspective. From an organizational perspective, it is something which should not be at any stadium, period. And I stick to that. Hope AIFF finds deal with FSDL. IS is the only stable thing in EA football right now. SCT, yes. Yes. How do you think our youth has done quality-wise this season? Where are the 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds that we want to talk about? Are there 5, 7, 10 players that we can talk about? Right? We'll come around and talk about Kuru. Right? And then it gets tough. I know Bengalis hate him, but Kalyancha was only done worse. Who said Bengali hates him? Again, Aditya, assumptions. Do you know Moinok? Do you know the Bengalis that they don't like Praful Patel? You don't, right? Do the Bengalis like Kalyan Chaubey? Do you know that? No, you don't. Assumptions. That's what I'm saying. I've been telling you this as as an elder person. Don't jump on everything and have an opinion on things if you don't have the opinions or the knowledge about it. Should we elect IS instead of politicians for head of sports bodies? I know I speak highly of IS because the work they have done in Bhubaneswar is massive. See, you speak of one, and I will talk about X others elsewhere who've been a disaster, who are a disaster. What are the IS officers doing in the sports ministry in the center, in other states? So no, it doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter what the background of the person is. If the person loves the sport, wants to do something for the sport, and can have an impact on the sport, get him involved in any sport. But if the person is there for XYZ reasons, there's no point of discussing that, right? That's the problem that we find ourselves in. We need to get the right people into Indian sports. And then if the right people are there, let's say IOA, a Raghu Iyer, who's worked X number of years in the IPL, was even working for Mr. Goenka, so, to some extent also in regard to ATK and Mohun Bagan. Survived 6 months in the IOA and couldn't change anything and left. So then that's part of the problem. Hi, Murali. India as a nation, we are not good in sports at international arena, but when it comes to gurus, intellectual, we produce across the world due to shows importance given in India's society. Is it really intellectuals, or is it that we give a lot of gyan, that we want to be, the smart ass, right? Yeah, very valid point from you. Kumar says the U17 kids who really played in the qualifiers requires to may not see Championship 70 are that these players' pathway is not there, which is one of the biggest problems. The bridge is not there between U7 and U21 to senior team. Yeah, Kumar said that from 16 to 21, our biggest problem. Can we say Nikolai Sani player were better than today youth? 100%. We can talk about the names, huh? Apuya is the most well-known. Dheeraj, Prabsukan, Boris, Anwar, Jitendra, Amarjeet, Suresh, Aniket. I have not even mentioned all. Sanjeev Stalin, a lot of these players. I wasn't talking about just ISL, but also STL, Dream Sports Championship, I League 2. Pranjal, to be honest, I-League, let's not talk about it. I-League 2, let's not even talk about it. Dream Sports Championship, again, I've not had enough time in the recent weeks to watch all of these youth tournaments. So therefore, it's a little difficult for me to say. It's good that these type of tournaments and competitions are happening. But again, I don't know what the quality is that is on display. I think Indian football living in delusion for a long time. When we enter qualifiers, our illusion got smashed. Murali, there are people in the system who like the way the system is, right? They know or they believe that if the system develops, to me is a huge challenge, right? To me, when we go to play qualifiers, men's or seniors, juniors, women, seniors, juniors, at the moment it's like, okay, hopefully we'll survive this. And this was not the case. A while back, that wasn't the case. You were hoping at least at under 17 level, yeah, we'll get to Asia. We won't get further, but at least we'll go there, right? Even that is not possible. So therefore, for me, those are the challenges which we find ourselves in. And it's something which is very, very difficult, but we need to grow from there, right? So therefore, that's a big fight for us and in Indian football. Right, more than 47 minutes. Just a quick reminder, if you haven't, do leave a like behind, share with other people as well. Only 9 likes so far. I think we can do better, guys. And those of you who might be watching, haven't subscribed, do subscribe. Slowly edging towards the 2,500 mark. IS officer are most of the time a burden. Indian bureaucracy is a big hold most of the time. That's why I said to Aditya, if he likes it or not, that again, because certain bureaucrats have done a good job in Odisha, there are X number of bureaucrats elsewhere who are not. So therefore, bureaucracy is a problem in India, and not just the politicians, even the business people. Again, if people, my problem very often in India, I see that, they're not interested really in the sport, right? I'm trying to change that with handball. Not hopefully, we will make an announcement in the coming days of what we're going to do. So therefore, look out for that. So let's see if I can change that in another sport. I've tried that now for 25 plus years in football. Yeah, I've tried as much as I can. Football doesn't want it. Let me try it in another sport. Maybe we can change the sport ecosystem in that sport. People often talk about structure in football, but I don't know how Nigeria produced world class despite hardship. Do you think certain players are very fortunate to be born in certain countries compared to Africa? Yeah. See, it in India, I that's a good one. I don't know why these kind of stories we don't have in India, like in Africa or in South America or even other parts of Asia. We're coming from really poverty and then work your way up through sports. Rarely have those stories, right? And football is the perfect catalyst for that. And therefore, I say we are not finding the I am Vijayans. We're not producing the Baichung Bhutias or the Sunil Chetris. Where are those players? That is an easy question. Chennai FC moving the home ground from Chennai. Murali, supposedly the club said no. 2 days ago, they came out with a statement where they said they're not moving away. What makes you interested in interacting with fans regular compared to another big player or celebrity? Who says I don't interact regularly with big players or what you would call a celebrity? I do both of that. I'm fine. Interaction like this is for me in the evening. It's if I can help people understand a little bit more, we grow our community of people who understand things, who will stand up for the right things in football. That's all what I'm trying to do, what I'm asking for. I'm not asking for that we will change the world. I think that we need to fight for the right things. And my mistake has been, I think, over the years that I've tried to do this and take this fight forward on my own. And now, I'm trying to get people like you all involved and hope that we together can can change this outlook into Indian football and change the outlook that people have towards Indian football, that not only myself, but other people also speak about the things which are right, which are wrong, which are an issue, and that we can take it forward to that next level. Kumar says, Runavada, I want to ask a hypothetical question to you. If promotion relegation future, maybe 10 or 20 years from now, then I-League should professionalize the commercialize like real second division. What is the real second division? Kumar, it is the real second division already. The I-League is already, and promotion relegation, I don't even know how long that is a topic or not at all. Again, these things are, you have to have a roadmap. I think we need a roadmap 2.0, looking at how can it work from an ISL perspective. If the ISL stays, I-League, I-League 2, how can the structure work? But the commercial answers need to come from the commercial partners and the AIFF and from the broadcasters. As long as the broadcasters are not willing to pay money, nothing's going to happen. We can't be professional. The I-League as such, generally the clubs are in general professional entities now, right? But the system. India is not a sporting nation. We don't have the culture. Yeah, Monok, I hear that a lot, but I always say that in certain parts, at least I feel it is, but not overall. And India is more of a watching sporting nation, even though I think now it's also become a sort of, it's sort of a participation sporting nation as well. But it is not a sporting nation like you would call, let's say, the US or countries in Europe or Australia or South Africa. Why don't you do a podcast with another influencer a few times on this channel? Pranjal, time is an issue. I do this, I might, sometimes I have the situation, I've done this, sometimes at short notice I have to cancel. So therefore it is a little difficult for me, but I will surely do that. Hyderabad shifting to Delhi? If so, then we're going to play, if not JLN. No, there is no alternative to JLN at the moment if they shift to Delhi. Do you find certain time India structure is missing, which makes difficult for sports to grow, and bureaucracy make even difficult, not only sports, but also country? How about Germany bureaucracy? Yeah, structure is always a problem. The foundation, very often lacking. Moinok just mentioned sporting culture missing. I think sporting culture helps. And bureaucracy has its own set of problems, across the country as well. Yes. But Germany has also the bureaucracy. Bureaucracy, around the world is an issue. But sports very often gets exempted from that bureaucracy, and you make things happen in sports faster than you do in other walks of life. Do you see anyone except FSTL? Because most probably the system will collapse without Reliance money. No. Again, who would? I ask you this question, not only to you, Blue, but to everyone who's listening. If you had a few thousand crores in your bank and you like football, let's say, you like sports, would you come forward and, in this given scenario, take over the rights of the AIFF and say, listen, I'm going to give you 50 crores a year for the next 5 years. And if you have more losses, I'll also cover that. So most probably you're committing to at least 300, maybe 500 crores loss. If any one of you as a rich individual, even with the biggest love for football, would you do that? Right. So therefore, just think from that perspective. It's anybody who's rich out there and who wants to invest will think twice, thrice, 4 times if he wants to work at the moment. And again, the reputation of AIFF is very, very easily to be seen and judged, right? That's a problem. I'm asking the running of I-League as more professionally like IS instead of Westly, like AIFF. Kumar, it is on the AIFF, right? Until Sunanda Dhar was there 2.5 years ago, I thought the I-League organization running was quite good. I did even commentary towards the end of the 21-22 season bubble league, right? So I saw how these guys with much less manpower, much less money than the ISL, FSTL were running it. So yes, it's possible. It was happening. And it is one of the many things that have been discontinued over the last 2.5 years. What happened to Mohun Sporting? Are the deadline over or not? Blue, I think all of this is interlinked. Mohun Sporting deadline, hey, I think till the end of the month, most probably until the end of next month, they could survive, and then we'll see what happens. And then the question remains if we'll have an ISL. But I think FSTL needs to take steps that a Mohammedan Sporting situation, a Hyderabad FC situation doesn't arise. And therefore, to me, that's why I said, even if Churchill Brothers comes out and says, hey, listen, I've got 100 crore bank guarantee. Here's my bank guarantee. You've got it and all that stuff. Do you trust them? Do you believe them? Do you allow them into the league or not? And that, I think, is the big question that is there, which is in my mind at this moment. Can we do the things that we think we want to do and how we want to do? It is very, very difficult for FSDL because they've set a certain standard, but they've lowered their standards over the last 2 years to allow teams and franchisees to survive, which is on one side a good thing, but on the other side, you're lowering the standards. And that's why we're in this situation. We won't nurture our kids properly at a young age and won't provide the right resources and expect them to perform miracles in big stage compared to other parts of the world. They're very well grounded. Yeah. But I also realize these days, I feel that the players also do need to do more themselves, right? I remember in 2000 when India went to England for the tour to play Fulham, West Bromwich Albion, and Bangladesh. I used to see a group of players stay longer on the field, right? And try out things, the Renedy Singhs, the Jules Albertos, the Khalid Jamils, yeah? So it's the system, but it's also on the players themselves individually. So should we change the Vision 2047 to Vision 2048, considering how this year went? Pranchal, what is 1 year difference going to make? The vision was presented 2.5 years ago. What have we achieved in 2.5 years? Have any of the milestones set in the vision, have they been fulfilled? Have you reached them? 2047 as a vision document is good. It's a good document, right? But the problem is, to me, is very, very simple. How do you implement it? Pragmatically and realistically. You should set yourself, high goals, high standards. So therefore, I always say, put goals as in the best case and in the normal case. And that way, So therefore, Vision 2047, nice on paper, no value on, as it is. Right, before I come to Kumar, over an hour already. If you haven't, once more, reminder, do leave a like behind. It allows more people to join in. 12 so far. Do also share with other people so we can get more people in. involved, and subscribe to the channel, and also look up the short videos that I made or make. Ask them interesting question. Why do ISL franchisees consider relocation? So do look it up, and thanks as always for your support. Kumar says, if new deal happens, FSL should figure out at sustenance of clubs and themselves taking the Indian football forwards means producing more quality players from the club academy and spending. Yeah, Kumar, that's one thing that those guys are looking at. But there is no magic wand to change things, right? Again, very easy to say, but if you're in that position, very difficult to find solutions. People who would like to pursue their career in sports and outliers in India, maybe we can't blame people. Our socioeconomic structure plays the major role. Yeah, Mohun, a very big problem. Very, very problem. Sports is not a career option. And if you take sports as a career option, you have to 100% get into it. Also, how good is Malaysian leagues or rumor of Aniket Jadhav in talks with the Malaysian club? Pranjal, very good. They've been better than our clubs in the recent years. But to be a sporting nation, not necessarily we have to aspire to be a professional sports person. We should assimilate sporting activities into our daily routine. Totally agree. And it's not just the pros. Or the young athletes wanting to become pros. It's about also the general public, not just being couch potatoes or, let's say, people who go and watch sports in the stadium, but actually do sports for themselves, for their own health. That is, I think, a shift which I would like to see in India, but I know very, very difficult. You get different vibes in India going back to Germany. Any difference you see working in structure players coming to India and the opposite? Morally, totally different. If you see how things are done here and done in India, no comparison. Just no comparison to the things here and there. Oh, it was 2 years. Old Vision 2049, 5 years. Pranjal, it doesn't work that way. For me, you've got timelines till 2026, and most things that you should achieve till 2026 cannot be achieved. So you don't push the vision backwards by that 1 year or by 2 years or by 2.5 years. It doesn't work that way. If you're not going to meet your vision by 2047, you won't be able to meet it by 2097. Yeah, exactly. The problem is, as I say, if you have a vision, there are two things that you need to look at. As I say, ideal case scenario, where can I get in the maximum and where can I get realistically? So therefore, set challenges, but set realistic challenges, pragmatic challenges, and overachieving. If I became in charge for sports in India, my priority would be lay a strong foundation and place expectations on them without providing anything we cannot expect. Good, Murali. Do you think China built some crazy sports infrastructure, which is unbelievable? Yes, Murali. China has not only built crazy, you call it crazy infrastructure, but I say pragmatic sport infrastructure across the country. Rigorous scouting program, rigorous training program, sometimes maybe even hard and harsh on the kids. But you see the results in Olympic sports. Interestingly is that China in a lot of team sports has not been successful. Rather, more success on the women's side. Look at football, look at field hockey. But the main successes have come in individual sports. How good is scouting? Just asking, you have good, knowledgeable scouts. Dinesh, difficult field, I would say, because yes, there are some scouts who are really good, but a lot of scouts where I'd say, okay, Do they know what they're doing? Sorry to say that, but that's the reality that I feel. So therefore, scouting needs to be better than what it actually factually is. So that's the challenge with everything else in Indian football, right? It is a challenge, and you have to try and build on it. Therefore, scouting has to improve as well. I always say grassroots, youth football, coaching, competitions, scouting. Those are the 5 points that I think are needed. Neeraj Chopra said training abroad shaped him a lot. Of course. It's the training abroad is not just the daily training. It is looking at other people with an experience, your food, how you sleep, what you learn around you, what the coaches try to teach you, the opposition, all of these things. So therefore, that is something that Neeraj Chopra has learned, that that he's got abroad. Massive respect for you for doing the show. If it wasn't for YouTube and your helpful nature, I wouldn't never have access to a person of your caliber. Not to mention the things I get to learn from these conversations. Ishan, thanks a lot. As I say, I like these conversations. Sometimes I'm a little hard-hitting also because, because the time is gone to be, friendly and not say things. As I say, maybe I should have done this a decade back and started a YouTube channel, that more people got to know what is right, what is wrong. But I enjoy doing this. So thanks. Really, it comes to my heart and makes me happy that I'm doing this again. And that's why I say, we need to try and grow the community, have more people join in our conversations so that we can take this whole conversation forward. Because the more people join in our conversations, the wider we can spread the net, and the wider more people, and therefore, thanks again. How do you see a rift among sports associations? Because in India, we face a lot, and to solve it, we go to court, and it takes a lot of time. See, the rifts in sporting associations or federations is always there. And you can go to court, but it needs to be a sporting court, a sports court, which looks at it from a sporting aspect, and there is no interference, a fear of interference from the courts or from the government. That's the whole problem. You have it around the world. Kumar says, that I was entangled in the awe of Japan structure. YouTube, I've been fascinated by J-League fans' attendance in Asia. Kumar, you can't compare Japan with any other country, the way they do their things. And to me, Japanese have a plan and they work according to it. I'm very, very impressed with the Japanese. I've seen even here at the local level at FC Remscheid, we have had Japanese players. Yeah, normally very organized, very structured, very humble, very nice persons, shy, but nice. Hi, Welzian. Late for your stream. No question, but just listening to the conversation. Thanks, Welzian. Good to see you being back. Actually, Westwood got a lot of criticism, I remember, for saying that Indian footballers eat too many carbs. Our fans took it personally, but he was speaking out of experience of playing and coaching abroad. Yeah. Ishan, I remember in season 1 of the ISL, a seasoned European pro told me, listen, the Indian footballers, for example, spend too much time in the gym. And this is the biggest problem. Indian footballer is max 90 minutes on the field a day. He should be 4 or 5 hours on the field to improve his football. Right? Again, but the clubs don't have access to grounds for 4 or 5 hours. That's the other problem, right? So therefore, all these things are interlinked. If I want to be better, I need to do certain things. And that is something, and again, if you bring this Ashley Westwood example up, I remember that when he said it, Armando Sadiku recently said, doesn't see the interest of Indian players to wanting to play for the national team, where he said, we as Albanians are crazy and we will, from anywhere in the world, would want to play for national team. So these are observations. And these are observations. Don't see it as criticism. see them as things that these people have seen and observed. That is also, Indians are not happy when people tell them realities. Was this the last season of ISL? Shubhrajit, that danger is there. I hope not, but yeah, let's wait and see. One thing you'd like to see, this thing has to be changed in India, compulsory any sentiment you can in the spite it not good in sports, not a powerhouse. Murali, as I said multiple times, create a foundation and create the structure to work on that. That's, I think, the key. Otherwise, we'll be talking about what we're talking about, Nothing is too late until you won't start or do. Yeah. But that's, that's philosophical, and that's a life task. But in Indian football, sometimes very difficult for a lot of people to try and do those things. Monarch says, Vision 2047, I decide to do something after 1 hour. Then I sit lazy on the couch doing nothing. After 1 hour, I push task 1 hour further. I keep pushing and pushing and can't complete it in a week. Yeah, sadly, could be seen the way that Vision 2047 is looked at. Or I would look at something and say, listen, I've given myself a task and I don't know how to get to the finish. How can I fulfill the task? So that's the other thing that is it my laziness? Is it my incompetence? Is it my lack of knowledge? It's a combination of a lot of facts. Why? And I said when the vision document came out, it's a nice piece on paper, but how is it realistically? How is it pragmatically going to be filled with life? We've had multiple visions now. Vision 2010, we had Lakshya, the plan, this, that, everything. Vision 2022. On paper, all of them look great. Fill them with life. Fill them with something that we can push it to the next level. That is where we've been faltering over these last few years, and we've sadly not moved ahead. And that's the biggest problem at this moment in time. Hey, Stephen, I am well. Arsenal gone through to semifinals. They deserve to go through. Stephen, if you beat Real Madrid 5-1 on aggregate and win both the matches, you more than deserve to go through. So yes, Arsenal were the better team against Real Madrid. And let's see. Now Paris Saint-Germain. Yeah. Japan's structure, unbelievable in football. Not only that, their country also functions same way. I remember when Japanese visit India, they're absolutely shocked the way it functions, country and sports. Yeah. Japan is a different beast. So, if someone says, oh, let's try and copy the Japanese model, we're going to fail. Do you think in recent times, speaking truth is very dangerous because when you are aware, you expose them, it will make their business loss as well encounter those situations? Murali, in today's world, you can say anything. That's the problem, right? Where is the business loss to people? Indian football is a free for all. That is the real problem. There is no business loss to people. Apart from that, we don't have the real desire to. All are eyewash. Mohun, very harsh, very brutal. Sorry, let me take a sip of water. But yeah, that's the current reality of sports in India. Yeah. Or not even sports, but specifically football in India. With these things, you're deflecting from what you've not done, what you've not achieved. And my best examples are, for example, this whole PIO topic, which has been gotten out by this person, by that person, whenever they think it's a good time to deflect, right? I know that, sorry, once again, a point where I could say, listen, I've done the work. I've made the effort, not the people who claim that they've done it. Japan has developed significantly in hockey, especially women team. Okay, Morali. Steven says, when ISL was started, I was very hopeful, but I see we have gone backwards in terms of national team. I'm 30, now losing hope to see India in a World Cup in my lifetime. Steven, yeah. I mean, I was there when the ISL started. 11 years ago. And I was actually very hopeful that we're going in the right direction with the ISL, with things. And but if you look at things now, very difficult to say. And how far we've gone or how far we've not gone. I think that's the challenge, I think, with the ISL. The ISL clubs have to take a certain level of blame in regard to grassroots and youth. The state associations, the football academies, the football schools, the AIFF, everybody. We've created a solid base at the top, but the foundation below that doesn't exist. It's like you've built a star restaurant at the top of your building, but the rest of the building is actually doesn't exist, and the whole thing has actually come crashing down because your foundations are not there. And again, with the pyramid, right? You build your way from the bottom up to the top, but if you don't build the base of your pyramid, the foundation of your pyramid, and then you slowly work your way up, or you can actually build at the top and build at the bottom and try to merge it in the middle. That also works, but even that hasn't happened. So therefore, this is I think the biggest failure of FSDL and the ISL, but along with all other stakeholders. So there's nobody who can say, oh, you know what, I was not part of this. Everybody who's been in Indian football over the last 15, 20 years, everybody, and I explicitly say I don't take myself out of it. We all have failed. Even the fans have failed because we celebrate the things which we shouldn't have celebrated. But I feel in Europe, people have more career options. Even if they're not making top, they can work as consultant in other countries. They lack it. I don't think so, Murali. This is a wrong perception that you have. In Europe, you have to fight as much as anything else, anywhere else. And, but you try and fight for your dream job. Be it here or be it in the US. Yeah, you try. The short-term solution, we all know, is OCI players, but I don't see anything happening. Stephen, I agree with you. That's, I think, the only thing left at this moment as an option, as a plan B, and it's a question of when will that moment come where the government forcefully wakes up to the realities of players of Indian origin. And it's not just a football thing, it's a general Indian sports thing. It would help us in tennis or other sports as well. Basketball has been mentioned as well. Yeah, so let's wait and see what happens. Do you think Middle East country over the years laid strong foundation over the years? Yes, only few teams played top, but structure unbelievable. Murali, they did what I was telling worked at the top and worked at the bottom, and that got them there where they are now, right? Iranians are working at the top, but working at the bottom as well. So therefore, otherwise you won't reach where the level, So to me, yeah. Very important. Need to see how other countries do it, right? Any update on probable opponent of Indian men's football team in June Hong Kong match? Shovik, nothing at this moment. I've not heard anything. There's also this crazy rumor today that India is supposed to play Argentina in October in the October FIFA window. But as far as I know, India is playing 2 qualifiers in October for the AFC Asian Cup 2027. So India can't play Argentina in that window. So therefore, I don't know who's putting out things. Therefore, for June, I haven't heard anything. I hope it is someone either from East Asia or Southeast Asia, to give us a little feel of that. Let's see. Why China failed? Chirag, I wouldn't say China has failed. China has had its success. If you look at it, late 90s, early 2000s, the top Chinese players were actually playing in Europe. Sun Jihai, Man City, right? Du Wei, Everton, Jiaji Shao here in Germany, 1860 Munich, Frankfurt, and then Cottbus. So you've had that. 2002, they played the World Cup. Bob Houghton qualified them for that. And yeah. Sorry. Sorry. The Chinese Super League, then they'd try and to grow in the 2010s, and COVID hit them. And then I feel they haven't been able to recover it. So therefore, those are realities. And I think just trying to find out the latest Chinese squad. Yeah, looks like all of their players are playing now in China at this moment in time. Yeah, sort of rather an inexperienced squad. So the problem is that they have not been able to achieve what. But have they failed? I wouldn't say that. When Olympics comes, every motivation speaker and celebrity comes to greet Indian player, but for grassroots, no one cares. Yeah, morally problem. Is there a way of allowing OCI players without dual citizenship? Yeah, make OCI, make an amendment to the constitution. And make the OCI sort of say, yeah, but I don't know if they're going to do it. Or now the editing Wikipedia page is easy if you know HTML, CSS, anybody can edit the matches. Okay, Kumar. Why do you think everyone wants to share the success but not failure? Even our sponsors will stay away due to think everyone will come us when there's limelight, but failure not at all. Morally, and that I think is a general thing around the world, but I think yes, in India especially, that you support success, but you don't want to help to reach that level of success. I think that's the big thing, and that's the big problem. In India, parents give importance to education, less on sports. What about in Europe? I think education is something that everybody puts some sort of focus on. But sports, you do a lot of sports, and if you're good enough in sports, then yeah. I was listening to a podcast in Shine's channel with Joydeep Basu. He was describing how every associate in AIFF is unhappy about the management. How can they run football of a nation like India? Yeah. That's the reality, right? But does he question his own work? That is what I would have asked Shine to ask him, but we've never done that. No? Cricket going to include an Olympic? Your thoughts? To me, not an Olympic sport, to be very honest, but yeah, they've done it. China's nationalized some Brazilians, Nigerians to play for them. Yeah, bunch of naturalization is something the Chinese have done actually for a number of years, but it's not got them anywhere. Did China made the national team squad play together for 10 years? How did they manage to qualify? Sorry, maybe dumb question. Stephen, no question is a dumb question. No, they didn't make them play it for 10 years. They in those, again, we're talking about the late 90s. Yeah, you had some strategy, some planning, but you didn't plan like you would plan today. But again, even long-term plans, see, sports is something where your long-term planning can be the perfect planning, but reality of results forces you to change things. And I think that's the reality of things that what we've seen with the Chinese and with others. You know, who would have thought that Indonesia would be doing as well as they are? Also, even not even the Indonesians at the moment, right? How much damage did Ego Steamers cause to a national team? Chirag, that's actually a hard-hitting but a difficult, but on the other side, a real question. You know, to me, he could have done things in a different way, could have given exposure to certain players. He could have spoken on truths, on problems, while not being national coach. But he did, right? And in that way, he fooled the system, and that didn't work. Why can't we naturalize? Because foreigners rarely to never get an Indian passport. Did you get in trouble because you speak a lot of truth? I find today it is dangerous that people who talk it often threaten. Murali, no. And even if someone does, I don't care. Very, very honest. I've kept, you know, I'm one of few people in this business who can say, you know, I've tried to keep and be honest. I have my own ways of working. I think there are certain people who will not like the way I do work. You know, I'm sometimes a little too German in that, but yeah, that's the reality. Do you think we easily reach round 3 if we have OCI player? Murali, you can't say that. In theory, yeah, we had those players who it is more likely would have qualified for round 3, yes, but would we for sure? I don't know. How good was Arata? Arata was a quality player. Is now hopefully turning into a quality coach. And Izumi is someone I have a lot of respect for. One of my first interviews, they want to scroll down, that I'd done was with Arata. So yeah, lovely guy. Did you visit China when they hosted Olympics? No, I visited China 8 years ago for a conference, but I've never visited China. I've never watched actually live sports in China. When the tickets of Super Cup will be released, Srinjoy, I guess. I hope today 17th should be tomorrow. I think should be tomorrow, 2 days before. If I don't know, has AIFF not put out something? Just one second, let me just check before I say something wrong. Let me just check once if they've done something. Just give me a second. No, they've not put out something. Okay. They've not put out something so far. So we'll have to wait until they come out with something. Yeah. Do top OCI players actually want to play for India? I mean, why would they if they have a chance for the European national team? Chirag, the ones that we could target that I have spoken to, all of them are open to playing for India. Because I don't think we have any players at the moment who are eligible for European or North American countries, let's say. And therefore, it's not a topic. Steven says accountability is lacking every aspect of sports in India. They start blaming each other and do not own up to the mistakes. It is a perfect storm on Indian football. Hope everything gets better now. Yeah, again, hope is what is left. Yeah, but yeah. Do you find China developed some solid foundation system? Is it unbelievable? People always say population issues in India. Murali, of course, China has a solid foundation in regard to grassroots sports, the youth sports. No doubt about it. But I say in team sports, it hasn't worked for them. So that's an interesting fact which we have to talk about in China. Or when we talk about China, that China has been doing well in a lot of individual sports, but they've rather failed when it comes to team sports. So that's a reality when we talk about China. But the Chinese, yeah, the Chinese have actually achieved a lot. So from that perspective, I mean, otherwise you wouldn't be winning that many medals, right? Over 90 minutes of this live on a Thursday evening. If you haven't, do leave a like, do leave a share behind. 15 likes so far, thanks a lot. And if you like and want to come back to the channel, do subscribe to the channel. We're at 2,492, so 8 to go for the 2,500 mark, a small milestone for this channel. So yes, thanks a lot again. And as I said, do watch the shorter videos. I mean, I make a little bit of an effort to get the information together to make those videos. Do watch them. Made a series, of course, on the ISL team reviews. Today I asked the question about ISL teams relocating. Was it the last ISL? Yeah, all other topics, watch them. There's some gems in there if you would scroll down and look at the older things. Will you be watching any Europa League games tonight? Pranjal, I'll be watching Eintracht Frankfurt against Tottenham. So that's going to be a match that I would be looking forward to watching later on. And just looking, it's halftime. Fiorentina in the Conference League leading against Kielce, and Jagiellonia Białystok from Poland 0-0 against Betis, while Europa League, all the matches start at 9 p.m. European time. Yeah, so that's my focus match. Constantine said into that when ego is bigger than football, it's difficult for development. Yeah. Yeah. Stephen has a point. Because Stephen raised a lot of points with the AIFF over the years, but a lot of people, poor quality games in Europa League this year. Love the UCL games. Was the Europa League poor? I don't think, Stephen. I think there's been some interesting games, some surprising results. I think with the league stage of the Champions League, I think the Europa League or even the Conference League have not been getting that much of a focus this year. Eintracht Frankfurt has played some crazy games. I feel Bodo Glimt, again, that's an interesting one to see, to watch. And of course, we've got Manu, Lyon, and Bilbao Rangers tonight. So we've got really some very, very interesting matches. I know I asked this once, but how many Indian players abroad do you think might be decent just considering the league they play in? Pranjal, if I would look at OCI players across Europe, across North America, I think we've got about 20, 25 players who could be considered for the Indian national team. So I think we could create a whole national team of OCI players. Hey, Rushabh, good to see you. I'm fine. How are you? When is the SAF group stage draw? Good question. I don't know. I've not seen anything. Should be later this month, early next month. Can Man United surprise today? Is it a surprise if Man U win today? I don't know. Just asking. I mean, the match in Lyon ended in a 2-2. Again, with Man U, not sure. Yeah. Yeah. Same with Tottenham. I think for me, Frankfurt are the favourites with all the experience they have in the Europa League against Tottenham Hotspurs tonight. No, not also pure players, pure Indian players. Boah, I don't even know. Maybe one, maybe two, not more. And there are a lot of Indian players around, right? But I don't see them. Yeah, not too many of them. Yan Danda wants to play for India if the government made the changes in the law correct. Yes, Stephen, Jan is one of the players who've shown serious interest. Any update on national team or U23? Rushabh, nothing. Nothing. We will slowly move towards the Super Cup. So therefore, that's, I think, the focus that we should be looking at. One day I messaged Teamage on Insta asking when are we playing a friendly against Croatia. As I heard him saying, it's somewhere he'll write very soon, my friend. Yeah, Moinok, again, could have happened, might have happened. What value would have had? I don't know. So therefore, again, we so many things have gone wrong, and knowingly wrong. And even the people who've tried their things should know better. And I think a lot of people do know better, but they're not interested in football. They care about positions. They care about power. They care about themselves. Do they really? Yeah. Who will win Super Cup? Punjab. It's a knockout. It's a clean. It's a straight knockout. Any one of those 15 or 16 teams that are playing can win it. That's why. That's the charm of a straight knockout, right? Sorted in 90 minutes or in extra time. In penalty shootouts. Again, in the pre-quarters, quarters, and semi-finals, it's going to be straight knockouts. And and in the final, it would be with extra time. So let's wait and see. I have no clue. I would also have to need to know who's playing, who's not playing, who's injured, who's fit. And that information at the moment is not, Any update on Argentina visiting India in October? Push up, nothing. There was this rumor today that Argentina is supposed to play India in October, but for me, it doesn't work because India is supposed to play 2 qualifiers in October. So India is actually not available to play anyone. So therefore, it seems to be someone changed something on Wikipedia and the craze has started. So therefore, we'll have to wait and see, but I've heard nothing. I had a lot of Indian players, but some of them play in insane lower divisions, especially Germany and Portugal. Panjal, those guys who play in those lower divisions, 5th, 6th, 7th, they're not professionals, first of all, and most probably they're not good enough to play for the national team. So therefore, we've seen now the examples of Ishan Pandita and Jay Gupta, initial hype, a lot of hype, guy came in, a lot of hope. And then the reality was that most probably they were, that's another reality, right? And that is 5th, 6th tier of Spanish football. Also, which division German league team can India national team beat properly? I say that India would struggle against my hometown team, FC Remscheid, that's 6th division. So, I don't know, 7th tier, most probably. That they should beat. But 6th tier, I think it's going to be tough. People pay to hockey in Germany, correct? People think everything is easy in Europe. Yes, field hockey across Europe is an amateur sport. So people pay to play the sport, even Olympians. Yeah, so that's a fact. Yeah, that's not made up or something, but that's a fact that you have to spend your own money to be able to play that sport. Yeah, that's professional sports for you in Europe. Yeah, that's also the crazy thing, right? If you look at the salaries, the money being spent on the Indian, in Hockey India League. Yeah, that's it. Right, 1 hour 40 minutes, 100 minutes. If you don't have any more questions or observations, Lord Pandita is still the GOAT, says Pranjal. Yeah, I had a lot of hope from Ishan. Sadly, injuries and other things have fizzled out. Same with Jay Gupta. Let's see how these guys can resurrect their careers. As I said, once again, reminder, if you liked what we spoke about, do leave a like behind, share it with other people. I think we have had another interesting, insightful conversation tonight. And do subscribe to the channel, 2,493 now. Thanks a lot to the latest person joining into the community. And let's keep on growing. 7 to go for the 2,500. That's the next aim. And again, let's keep on growing the community. Let's have these honest conversations. Let's have these talks, discussions on Indian football. Welcome, Moinok. Thanks a lot for you and for the others all joining in. As I said, also watch the others, the shorter videos. We need a little traction. So therefore, my request, watch them. I do put in some effort to put those things out and share with people. I think today's, again, it has not that many views, but I think it's an interesting one. Why do clubs look at relocating of franchisees in the ISL? Do that, and I'll be back tomorrow with another live. So Bandip says 3 Sri Lankan German origin playing for Sri Lanka team play in the 4th and 3rd division of Germany. One will go to Bundesliga 2. Yeah. Kammerknecht, top player, Claudio Kammerknecht. So therefore, those level of players would do us good. So therefore, once again, like, share, and subscribe arunfoot here on YouTube. Visit my other social medias and subscribe to them as well. And visit arunfoot.com. And I'll be back tomorrow night with another live on Our Chaudhary. See you soon.